Blue zones, centenarians, and eye aging. People who live past 100, centenarians, often amaze us not only with their long lives, but also with remarkably preserved vision. In regions known as blue zones, like Okinawa, Japan, or Sardinia, Italy, where people routinely reach extreme old age, residents tend to share lifestyles that may protect their eyes. We review what research has revealed about eye diseases, age-related macular degeneration, AMD, cataracts, glaucoma, and changes in the retinal microvasculature in these oldest old adults. We also explore how their diets, exercise, environment, and genes may help preserve vision, and what challenges researchers face when studying these exceptional agers. Finally, we highlight opportunities to apply these resilience insights to benefit everyone's eye health. Eye diseases in centenarians. As people age, common eye disorders become more frequent. Major culprits include AMD, a deterioration of the central retina, cataracts, clouding of the lens, glaucoma, optic nerve damage, often linked to high eye pressure, and age-related vascular changes in the retina. What do we see in centenarians? Age-related macular degeneration, AMD. Even in centenarians, AMD is common. In one study of 25 Japanese centenarian patients, about 40% of eyes showed some macular degeneration. Interestingly, though AMD was prevalent, it was not the main driver of vision loss in that group. Instead, cataracts, see below, and chronic eye inflammation were the strongest factors harming vision. This suggests that many rare individuals who survive to 100 may develop early AMD, but either avoid its most severe form or onset may be delayed. It's likely that people who develop aggressive AMD earlier simply don't survive to become centenarians, a form of survivor bias. Cataracts. Lens clouding is nearly universal with age. In the same centenarian study, 40% of eyes had significant cataract. Cataracts in the oldest old are often treatable, and cataract surgery can still greatly improve vision even at age 100 plus. For example, a report on centenarians undergoing cataract surgery found that all 8 eyes studied had dramatic vision improvement after surgery, with no serious complications. This underscores that age alone is not a barrier to safe surgery or better sight in these patients. In other words, many centenarians probably reach 100 years with cataracts, but surgery can restore vision if performed. Glaucoma. Surprisingly, nearly half the centenarian eyes in the Japanese study had glaucoma, 46%. This high rate reflects widening optic disc cupping seen in age, yet glaucoma did not predict poor visual performance in those patients. It may be that glaucoma in many centenarians is well controlled, e.g., mild open-angle glaucoma or treated cases, or that their optic nerves tolerate slow pressure changes. Still, glaucoma remains an important age-related risk factor for vision loss worldwide. Retinal microvasculature. The tiny blood vessels of the retina tend to deteriorate with age. Studies show aging causes retinal capillaries to narrow and blood flow to drop. Damage to these vessels underlies AMD and can contribute to other diseases like retinal vein occlusions. We have little direct data on retinal vessels in centenarians or blue zone residents specifically. However, research indicates that retinal aging reflects overall health. One large study used a retinal photo-based retinal age gap, how much a retina looks older than the person's actual age, and found that for every 5-year increase in this gap, the risk of developing multiple chronic diseases rose by about 8%. In other words, a healthier-looking retinal microvasculature is linked to resilience. It is plausible that exceptional agers maintain better retinal vessel health than typical older adults, but this needs direct study. Blue zone lifestyles and protected vision blue zone regions share a cluster of lifestyle traits that seem to promote longevity and may also benefit the eyes. Key factors include plant-rich diet. Blue zone diets, like the Okinawan and Mediterranean diets, emphasize vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and healthy fats, e.g. olive oil, fish. Such diets are naturally high in antioxidants, vitamins A, C, E, lutein, zeaxanthin, and omega-3 fatty acids. These nutrients are known to protect the retina and lens. For example, a comprehensive review found that people who stick closely to a Mediterranean-style diet have a reduced risk of AMD. In fact, a recent systematic review concluded that higher adherence to this diet was strongly linked to lower incidence and slower progression of AMD. That same review found no clear effect on cataracts or glaucoma, but plenty of evidence specifically for AMD protection. Similarly, large-scale UK data show that better Mediterranean-style eating habits were associated with fewer new cases of AMD and cataract. Researchers estimate that each 1-point increase on a Mediterranean lifestyle index cut cataract risk by 1.5% and AMD risk by 2.1%. Natural antioxidants. Many blue zone foods contain powerful plant chemicals. For example, Okinawans eat lots of sweet potatoes and greens rich in beta-carotene and lutein. Sardinians eat vegetables and beans loaded with antioxidants. Moderate red wine, especially in Sardinia, supplies resveratrol. These compounds scavenge free radicals that damage the eye with age. Laboratory and animal studies consistently show that antioxidants delay retinal cell damage. For instance, resveratrol, found in red grapes, berries, and wine, has been shown to slow retinal degeneration in AMD and glaucoma models. Among AMD patients, clinical data suggest resveratrol slows disease progression. Other nutrients, plentiful in blue zone diets, such as omega-3 fats, lutein, and zeaxanthin, also protect retinal cells and have been linked to lower AMD risk. Physical activity. Blue zone elders stay active daily by walking, gardening, farming, and doing household chores. Regular exercise boosts cardiovascular fitness and blood flow, including to the eyes, and lowers inflammation. Studies review that people who exercise more have lower rates of serious eye diseases. For example, individuals who jog or do vigorous sports had a significantly lower incidence of glaucoma. Likewise, experts have noted that active lifestyles are associated with reduced risk of AMD and even diabetic eye disease. One meta-analysis found that late-stage AMD patients spent less time in moderate to vigorous activity than healthy peers. Exercise also has direct neuroprotective effects on the optic nerve. It increases certain growth factors in the body that preserve retinal ganglion cells, the neurons damaged in glaucoma. In short, movement keeps eyes healthier. Low stress and social support. Chronic stress and loneliness can harm all body systems, including vision. Blue zones emphasize community, family, and purposeful work, which reduce stress hormones. Though stress itself has not been tied to cataracts or AMD directly, it can worsen conditions. For example, severe stress can trigger temporary vision problems. Maintaining strong social ties is linked in general to healthier aging. In Japan's famous longevity studies, having a supportive community is repeatedly noted as a factor for long, healthy lives. Lower stress also means better blood pressure and blood sugar control, indirectly protecting eyes. Environmental factors. Many blue zone regions are rural or semi-rural, with cleaner air, lower pollution, and diets made from local unprocessed food. Lower exposure to toxins like smoking or heavy industrial pollutants likely spares eye tissues. For instance, cigarette smoking, largely avoided in most blue zones, is a known risk factor for AMD. Similarly, avoiding excessive sunlight without protection, wearing hats or reeds, can slow cataract formation. Diets in these zones include fewer packaged foods and pesticides, reducing chronic inflammation that can damage the body and eyes. Taken together, these lifestyle elements form a picture. A Mediterranean-style, plant-heavy diet, plus lots of walking and community support, hallmarks of blue zones, line up with known eye protective habits. For example, a 2026 UK Biobank analysis found that people with the healthiest Mediterranean lifestyle scores, which combine diet, exercise, sleep, and social habits, saw 15% less AMD and significantly fewer cataracts over 10 years. Even moderate red wine in the mix had benefits. The PubMed analysis noted red wine intake was one factor linked to lower AMD risk. These findings strongly suggest that blue zone behaviors could directly explain why many centenarians keep decent eyesight. Genes and resilience. In addition to lifestyle, genetics likely play a role in exceptional eye health. Many centenarians carry protective gene variants that delay aging processes or boost repair. While research on ocular genetics in centenarians is limited, we can infer possibilities. Longevity genes. Studies of long-lived people have identified genes like FOXO3, APOE, SIRT1, etc. that influence lifespan. Some of these genes also affect inflammation, cell repair, or metabolic health, factors that could keep eyes young. For example, certain APOE variants are known to impact inflammation and brain aging. If a centenarian gene variant reduces inflammatory damage generally, it might also slow AMD development. Research on Alzheimer's disease in centenarians shows they often lack high-risk gene profiles. Similar supercontrol studies could be done for age-related eye diseases. Rare protective mutations. Aging eye diseases often involve genetic risk factors, e.g. variants in complement factor H or ARMS2 genes for AMD. It's possible centenarians might carry fewer of those risk alleles or have stronger antioxidant genes. For example, recent work has found rare mutations that strongly protect against AMD progression. Sequencing the DNA of visually intact centenarians may reveal unique patterns pointing to new drug targets. This is an area ripe for future study. Microbiome and metabolism. Emerging evidence links gut microbes and metabolism to both longevity and eye health. Blue zone diets foster a healthy microbiome high in fiber. Some metabolites, like certain bile acids, might influence retinal cells or eye inflammation, though this is still speculative. Researchers might examine whether centenarians' gut-brain and gut-eye axes produce protective effects. Overall, genetics likely sets the stage for whether someone becomes a blue zone centenarian, and lifestyle determines how their eyes fare. Studying this gene-lifestyle interplay in eye tissues, even through blood biomarkers, could unlock new therapies for conditions like AMD or glaucoma. Survivor bias and study challenges. Studying centenarians and blue zone elders has unique pitfalls. Survivor bias looms large. Those who reach 100 are by definition the hardiest individuals of their birth cohort. If severe eye disease contributed to early death in many people, then the surviving oldest old may underrepresent those with aggressive disease. For example, many who develop rapid, blinding AMD or untreatable glaucoma at 80 to 90 years may not live long enough to become centenarians. Thus, centenarian studies may underestimate true prevalence or severity of age-related eye diseases in the general aging population. Another challenge is measurement difficulty. Very old participants often have other health issues, dementia, arthritis, mobility problems, that make eye exams harder. Many studies rely on retrospective chart reviews or small case series of the few centenarians at specialized hospitals. The 50 Eyes study we cited, for instance, may not capture centenarians who never visited the eye clinic because of frailty. As one expert review notes, medical records of the ultra-old can be incomplete, and assessing visual acuity precisely is difficult when cooperation or cognitive status is limited. In short, data on centenarian eyes remains scarce and may skew toward healthier subsets. Finally, cultural and geographic factors complicate comparisons. A Japanese centenarian sample may have different baseline diets or genetics than Italian or Costa Rican centenarians. Pollution levels, healthcare access, and diet vary in each blue zone. Disentangling which specific factors protect vision versus simply rural living is challenging. Researchers must carefully design studies, ideally longitudinal, with good baseline data, to distinguish true resilience factors from coincident lifestyle traits. Translating resilience into vision health. The insights from centenarians and blue zones suggest actionable strategies. Diet and nutrition. Clinicians and the public can encourage diets high in leafy greens, fruits, legumes, fish, and nuts, promoting omega-3s and antioxidants, essentially elements of the Mediterranean diet. Such diets have proven benefits for eyes and overall health. Consumption of nutrients like lutein, zeaxanthin in spinach, eggs, and omega-3 fatty acids in fish or walnuts has specifically been linked to slower AMD progression. People with a family history of AMD or glaucoma might especially focus on these foods. Physical activity. Regular exercise should be stressed not just for heart or brain health, but also for eye health. Eye care professionals can advise patients, stay active to help your eyes. Cardiovascular fitness improves ocular blood flow and delivers neuroprotective factors to retinal cells. Even low-impact exercise, walking, dancing, gardening, can help. For example, research shows the most active older adults have the least decline in retinal blood flow and lower glaucoma risk. Social and mental wellness. Blue zones teach us to reduce stress and stay socially engaged. Social isolation and chronic stress can elevate blood pressure and cortisol, factors that may accelerate eye aging indirectly. Patients should be encouraged to nurture community ties, engage in hobbies, and practice stress management, meditation, yoga. These soft factors can influence health span in subtle ways yet. Screening and early treatment. Because the oldest old may not always seek care, we should improve outreach. Mobile eye clinics or telemedicine can reach homebound seniors. For centenarians themselves, thorough eye exams allow timely cataract surgery, which we know is safe even at age 100, and glaucoma treatment to preserve vision. Preventing vision loss also prevents falls and cognitive decline, further extending healthy years. Research directions. Scientists can design studies in longevity populations. For example, retinal imaging of 80-plus subjects in known blue zones to identify structural markers of youthful eyes. Genetic and blood studies of vision-protected centenarians may uncover protective pathways. Clinical trials could test blue zone-like interventions, dietary patterns, polyphenol supplements like resveratrol, community exercise programs specifically for eye disease prevention. Even drug research may benefit. If centenarians show unusual resistance to AMD, studying their complement system or antioxidants could inspire new AMD therapies. In short, there is much to learn. The resilience traits of exceptional agers, from genes to greens, offer clues for keeping our eyes healthy longer. By adopting evidence-based elements of their lifestyle and translating biological findings into treatments, we can hope to extend our visual health span, the years we see well, even if some of us don't reach 100. Conclusion. Understanding why some people maintain good vision past 100 involves piecing together genetics, lifestyle, and environment. Studies so far show that centenarians and blue zone residents often share diets rich in plant foods and antioxidants, stay active and socially engaged, and have surprisingly common yet manageable eye disorders. Research suggests these habits align with lower risks of AMD, cataract, and glaucoma observed in large cohorts. Challenges remain: small study sizes, survivor bias, and measurement limits. But the message for everyone is clear: eat well, move daily, and nurture community. These are not just longevity tips, they are vision longevity tips. By learning from the oldest old, eye care professionals and patients alike can work towards preserving sight through the later years of life. All links to sources are available in the text version of this article. You can find the full article at visualfieldtest.com. Thanks for listening. To check your visual field, click the link at the bottom of this article or visit visualfieldtest.com.